So, what is the reason for this? So, I kind of wanted to show you what it sounds like, what it feels like, and then I'll actually do a lot more videos on how I route everything in my home studio to be able to give you all screen, audio. You also can hear me, and then how I break down my vertical format videos. Um, First and foremost, set the tempo to your sessions first. Before you do anything in Pro Tools, set the tempo. That's the first thing that I do. Damn near almost before I even name it, I set the tempo because I need everything else to go to the tempo. So I always start my sessions very much so condensed. I always started here, which is control option up or down arrows. So down condenses, control option up expands the sessions. And so I do that as a housekeeping mechanism. When I went to school for audio engineering, it was all about housekeeping. So my sessions always look this tight. I never like the staircase. I don't do the staircase on records. So even if you look at, let's say, right here, my sessions are my vocals are extremely tight. I keep my vocals tight. I keep my vocals uniform. And in just about every session, that's one of the things that I do. Is just so that I can be more organized. Now, I have a lot of my effects at the top. And so let's break down the mechanics of what's going on. At the top, I have the master. Most people do it inverted. So they have all of their effects or their auxiliary channels. Auxiliary channels, they have those at the bottom. What an auxiliary channel is essentially is, and you can do your homework on it. I am breaking this down for the people in layman's terms. I am not breaking this down for the niggas who have a degree in this. If you guys have a degree in this, you already know with EQ compression, this is for the person who is making music in their bedrooms or in their studios, because we know that music production is consumer grade now. It used to be pro audio. So when I got into it, it was pro audio. I went to school for music in 2013, learned music production, music business, and audio engineering. So I am a certified audio engineer. I don't know if you can see that on the wall right here. That is my certification. And so I'm certified on the Toft ATB, the SSL, the Neve. What do we also do? Dolby Atmos. We were doing Dolby when it like first popped out. It was really 5.1 or 7.2, which is surround sound, and then Dolby Atmos is 7.2. That's a whole nother thing that we can discuss. But going back to the template, I keep my auxes at the top. For me, it's cleaner, it's neater. I know what I get. I know what I'm getting. I know what I'm doing. For me, that's just what this is. And so I have my master track, right, as you all can see. And we'll break this down. I keep a limiter on it at all times because I want to be able to boost my vocals. I record when I bring in a 2-track, which is the MP3 or the YouTube beat or whatever beat that you're using. When I bring that in, guys or gals, I'm automatically at -7. Usually when I bring that in, I'm at -7. And then I'll adjust it to taste. I keep an EQ on it, stock, just to give it a little bump in the low end if need be. But for the most part, all my templates come in negative or -7 dB. Always. Because I always want to leave headroom. And that's why I have these limiters on here. Just as a quick fix so that when I'm in the moment, when I'm in the vibe, I can really track these vocals and I can attack the vocals. I can attack. I never want to lose my vibe. Ever. And so usually when you guys see me, you'll make the beat, no rest. I'll go right into cutting the vocal, and I can do all of these things in about three and a half hours max. It takes me. I remember when it used to take me 2 weeks to do one record. Now it takes me 3.5 hours to be able to crank out that same record, that same quality. Because once again, this thing is about repetition after repetition after repetition, and that's what it is going to take for you to get that endurance. This is really an endurance sport. So when you see me doing it, it's all endurance. So I have two limiters on there, very light limiting. Once again, I have already mixed this record down. I think this is 1.1.2. I did that bounce. Very light. So usually I would do a save as Los Angeles underscore one mix 1.2 or 1.1 or 1.3, whatever the case is. And I do that way I don't lose the mixes. I'm always able to get the stages. So this is the cut, and then I'll do save as. This is the mix, save as. Mix 1.2 if I'm going back into the vocal just to rearrange some things or what have you. So I keep a little light limiter on both of them. Nothing too crazy. I don't do any drastic moves for the most part. Everything that I do is natural, level, balanced. So keep an EQ on here. Probably don't even use it. Both these EQs I didn't use because I didn't need to, right? And so that's the beautiful thing about that. You don't even always need them, right? Right here, the next track down, I have the lead vox. My lead vox is where all of my main vocals go to. All my main vocals go here, and auxiliary channels are for effects. Usually, inserts are for dynamics, EQ, compression, reverb. If I want to do an effect to the whole thing, I always send it to my lead vox. All of my vocals, if you go to my main vocals, like my hook, say my hooks, right here, these are all going to my lead. Now, if I have someone coming in, I will send all of these to my auto bus. My auto bus or my auto lead is something that I'll just, anything that is not me or the original artist, I'll feed there. But for the most part, this is a pretty much transparent template. I actually, funny story, I stole this template from Harvey Mason and Damon Thomas. And when I say stole it, obviously I didn't steal it, but it was one of those things where I worked with Harvey Mason Jr. and Damon Thomas for, I interned for them for a while. And JQ, Smith, Dwayne, these were a lot of the writers he was bringing in. I mean, I met Teddy Riley here, Mary J. Blige. At the time, I think they were working on music for The Wiz. Harvey is now chairman of the Grammy Recording Association. But at the time, he was still mixing and mastering. He was still mixing and cutting records, and I was able to see how he did what he did, and it really evolved in my process. He's the reason why I wanted to get in shape. I mean, him and Damon were just so opposite, right? In the best way possible. Harvey was very much so corporate driven, just very much so, S550 clean cut. Damon, on the other hand, was very much so. I would say a music guy. You know what I'm saying? So I'm talking about the fancy cars, the clothes, the whole nine. Still amazingly talented, and I took what I wanted to. I took the best parts of the parts that I fell in love with, especially with their work ethic and their processes. I took those and then I just incorporated that into me. So when it comes to how I conduct myself, it's very much so Harvey Mason. But when I'm vibing out, it's very much so Damon. You know what I mean? And so shout out to those guys, man. It's funny, I bumped into Damon not too long ago at Topanga. I was shopping. I think we had just left Louis Vuitton, and I bumped into Damon, and he said, "Nigga, you rich now, huh?" And thought that was funny because I was the first person who said, you gonna be somebody. And I mean, I'm 18 at the time. You know what I mean? This is 2014. I'm 18, 19 at the time. And he was the first I would bring food from my home to Damon Thomas to the studio. And he would walk in and say, well, who the fuck is this? Like, who, you know what I'm saying? Who made this? I'm like, yo, this from the crib. Like, this from the house. Mom's made this. And I would literally just give him my food. I would just give him the food, and I would just be like, yo, like, you're doing so much for me. I mean, being able to learn, sit at the feet of these guys very different creators. These guys are masterminds, literally, when it comes to music production, engineering, business, the whole fucking nine. Just amazing. And I will be sprinkling these in as we go, because I think that it's important that you understand the stories. And it's funny, I went from there to working with my guy Mars when they were off of Victory, and they were sharing a studio with Nip. And so that's how I met Nip. And so a lot of times when y'all see me, that's the environment and that's the mold that I met Nip in. On YouTube, always looking up this, that, and the third, always being inquisitive. And first time meeting Nip, I think Hoggy opened the door, and I was spooked because these niggas is real 6-0s. You feel what I'm saying? I'm from the A trays, so it's a very different environment that I'm walking into. But I'm in a button up. I remember like it was yesterday. I was in a baby blue and white pinstripe button up with jeans on. It was like a cheap one from Target, probably, with jeans on. And I walked in. They was like, "Nigga, who you here for?" I'm like, "My guy Mars," and he was in the studio upstairs. And so yeah, funny story. And then after that, I was interning there for a little bit, left there, and I remember my first time really shaking Nip hand, and I really was able to talk with him. I never sat down. I was just able to talk with him for a little bit and tell him like, "Listen, you an inspiration." And so to all of those who don't know how driven, ambitious, and focused Nipsey was, um, I met him at the time when the cameras were not rolling. And so I saw him in his natural habitat. And when I say beast, I was able to learn from some of the flyest, richest niggas I've committed I've ever seen. And so, like I said, we're going to break this down in a way that is digestible and feasible for most people to actually understand. So, yeah, so back to this, right? I have my lead Vox, my auto Vox. Those are one of the same. One is usually for me, the other one is for an artist. Or if I want to switch up the whole tone of a section of the vocal, I go ahead and I put that here. And I put those on the auto lead track. Then I have my reverbs and my delays. I have all of my reverb and delays going to a delay aux where I can control all of them. So what does that mean? So when I'm playing a vocal, I have my LA2A. As you can see, I have, even on my main, I have a quarter note delay, a verb, my first reverb, my second reverb. Can y'all see that? My second reverb, and then a short verb. And then right here, I would usually have a half note delay, right? So that's usually what I would do on there. But I have all of those auxes, or all of those sends, going to my verb and my delays channel. And what that allows me to do is create space and width. Space and width. In one maneuver. I can either turn it up, turn it down, or I can be able to compress, and I can shape the room that the reverb and the delays are swimming in. And for me, that is extremely important that I'm able to do that, because it's necessary. It's a necessity. So I need you all to know that this is why this is so parallel. And throughout the years, and I think I jacked this template from them in 20. I wouldn't even say jacked it. Pause. But I got this template 2014 maybe. 2014. So it's 2025. So 10 plus years later, 11 years later, I have literally tweaked it to where it's an engineer's template, and it's very simple. So I have my LA2A. I can turn it up, I can turn it down, or I can also do my peak reduction, which just allows me to compress that. So I use this to push, and I use this to really, really shape right here that peak reduction. And then always EQ your reverbs, people. So many times they say the mix is muddy. The mix is muddy because you guys are not EQing the reverb. You have to EQ the reverb, right? This is not an echo chamber. Literally, you always want to be able to have tonal control. The EQ creates the tonal control over the delays and the reverb. Those things work in tandem, and I'm always able to get a nice flavor off of that. If I want to do a more drastic or more extreme approach, I'll bring this in. Obviously, if I don't, I'll let it off. I don't want to go too deep into this because, like I said, this is one of the things that I've already used. I'll go through the template again and kind of show you all, but I want to show you in reference to a record that is already just about mixed. And then I'll go through what's actually on my lead Vox. And then I have my quarter note delay. Very simple. My delay is up. I have my EQ. Um, I have a mod delay, which is effect, more effect than anything. And then I have a reverb on the actual delay. So, like I said, my job, I want to give it tone. I want to give it tone. I want to give it space, and I have that for most of them. Same thing with my ping pong. I have a ping pong here. Do I always use it? No, but it's always good to have because you never know when you'll be able to use that ping pong delay just to add more texture, add more flavor into those records. My half note delay, same thing. I have my air distortion. I love the air distortion because it just gives it a harmonic distortion that I like. The actual delay, what is this? My EQ. I have a what is I have a chorus on here. Um, Once again, it's all about texture. If you don't need it, fucking turn it off. We're not going to play these games. If you don't need it, turn it off. You know what I'm saying? It's not an issue. It's not a problem. Um, I have a reverb on here as well, and I also have an S1 imager just to be able to create that with. Probably the half note delay is so sexy. It's so nice. It's very plush. It just, excuse me, it gives you just a plush feel, a plush sound, right? So that's what I use that for. I have my slap delay. Slap delays are necessary. You never know when you want something to kind of slap off the back of that vocal, right? And that slap delay just gives it enough room to kind of lift that vocal up. I mean I've used it for a few different things. I even use it on snares. I have an EQ on there as well. A lot of my EQs on my delays or my reverb is extremely similar unless I'm going to my verb and delay aux, where I'm able to shift everything. If I want to shift everything, um, I maneuver in that way to where I'm able to, right? So that's pretty much what's going on. Then I have my verbs, verb one right here. I have the Valhalla vintage verb. I was so not a fan of Valhalla before I even got into it. I was so not a fan. I just thought it was hype. I think I was using Verb Suite by Slate Digital at the time, and I still use them whenever I need to. Or I think it was called Lustrious Plate. Lustrious Slate has a Lustrious um, reverb as well that I was using. So that's also extremely, extremely, extremely good. But once again, it's about taste. It's about what you like. This is the preset that I use for the vintage Valhalla. I'll bring that up. I have mix all the way up, pre-delay at 15 milliseconds. I have my decay at 1.9. Usually this doesn't change unless I'm going for something very different. Um, this is once again, this is stock, this is base, this is for my vocal. With my templates, you are going to have to dial them in for your vocal. I think that that's important that people know that because they're going to go, well, why doesn't my shit sound like yours? Because we don't have the same vocal print. You don't have the same vocal print as I do. So uh, you in nature won't be able to do that. Um, Hold on, guys. Let me check something real quick. All right. Let me make sure that this is actually on. Okay, got it. Check my stream clips to make sure I'm getting the clips so that I can be able to post the clips for you guys as to what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Um, I wasn't a fan of Valhalla at first, and then a friend of mine, Maestro, he was using it, and I was like, man, I'll fucking get Valhalla. And once again, game changer. I like it. It just depends on the vibe. Some vocals when I'm using a certain mic. I use the DLX right here. This is the UAD DLX. It is. It used to be Townsend. And so if you know it, it glows. It definitely glows. Very nice microphone. But I'm able to emulate different microphones, tube microphones, hybrid, large condenser microphones, the U87 by Neumann, the TLM 103, 102. Those are also by Neumann. Or I'm able to do one of my favorite microphones, the AKG C214. I used that. It was a cheap microphone. It was about 300. Let me see. It was about 300 and some bucks. Um, and actually, I still have the microphone. I still have the microphone. Great microphone, people. I think so many people don't even understand how great of a microphone that the AKG 214 truly is. Um, Great microphone. Great microphone. Now, this is AKG. This is the nylon. They also have the brass face, which is the 414, which I think is about 1,200 bucks. But I also have this microphone can emulate the 414. I use the C800 on my vocal now. Um, it's shinier. It just gives me what I need. This is more so for the gritty hip hop type of vibe. So if you need a cheap microphone, guys, the AKG C214, that's what you want. That's going to give you that hip hop. That's going to give you that vibe, and you can get some great vocals out of it as well. So that's for you all. Um, yeah, don't know how we got there, but great microphone to have. My microphone, I'm able to emulate any mic that I really want. I have about 32 microphones that I can emulate, and I use the Sphere. The Sphere app, I actually pull it up for you guys. That way you can see it. I use the Sphere, so I'm using the the 800, the C800, which is a Sony microphone, which is Japanese. Sony is Japanese, so this is actually a Japanese microphone. People don't know it. Even when I was in Japan, I was like, oh wow, they have Sony everywhere. Sony is a Japanese company, so just in case you all did not know. Um, Food for thought. But this is how I'm able to get the vocal. And so even now I have this on Omni. That way it doesn't matter where I move. You still get the same presence because it's picking up Omni. And it lets me know exactly where I'm at. So I have polar patterns, cardioid, super cardioid, figure eight, all of those type of things that are like I said, it's just preference depending on what you're doing, depending on the environment, if it's treated or not. If you're doing podcasting, you would want to do Omni, right? But if you're doing something like a certain thing, you might want to do cardioid or super cardioid or figure eight or whatever the case is, right? So up to you. Like I said, I just want to be able to go through and show you why it is that I am doing what I am doing and how this works. So Valhalla Reverb, it works. If you don't like it, it's on you. If you love it, cool. Just make sure you get something that you love that fits with your vocal. Everything is not one size fits all. That's why we have different companies that put out different reverbs, delays, compressors, etc., right? And so I have my second verb, and I actually have the tape echo on here. Tape echo, a delay, and this is the D verb. Like I said, stock D verb, nothing too crazy. 646 millisecond delay decay, and then it's only mixed up to about 22%. So nothing too crazy. This is the EQs. Like I said, you know, do what fits right for your vocal, and I could give you the science as to why, but honestly, the real reason is it feels good. It just feels good. All of the science, music is about a feeling. No one cares about the technical intricacies of everything that you have to do on a daily basis. They want to feel something when they hear the music. Your job is to have the wherewithal, the knowledge, and the understanding of all the technicalities that go into it. EQ, compression, reverb. That's the holy trinity. That is the salt, pepper, onion. If you do that, I promise you, if you understand those three, and you can break those three down, you will have an illustrious career. It's that simple. Everything else is an add-on. It's an add-on. Paprika, add-on, right? All of these other plugins, the distortion, the harmonic distortion, the lo-fi EQs. I'm trying to the air EQ. Listen, it's all add-ons. You have to get EQ, compression, reverb, and great takes. That's how you get good tracking. Great takes. So, also, I have a built-in mic. I have a built-in mic track. I don't cut my vocals. I never arm these vocals. Never. If you notice, I cannot arm these vocals. I never arm them. It won't let me. I never arm them. I use one vocal track, which is my mic track. I use the mic track, and I cut everything off there. I cut, and then it's not even armed. I cut, and then I drag. I drag and I drop. Literally. Every time. So everything that you see here is me cutting, dragging, and dropping it. Cutting, dragging, and dropping it. And so when I go to my hook section, I bring it right here. I cut it, I bring it down. I cut it, I bring it down. I cut it, I bring it down. Right? No, maybe we'll put this on the telephone with the telephone effect. I just drag and drop everything down. It just makes the session a lot more organized. If you noticed, I have my colors. It's always color coded. Everything is color coded for the most part. And my tag is already pre-built into my template. Janari, you're my favorite. Sorry, Janari. So I use that every time. I mean, it's pre-built in. So whenever you hear my records and you hear the tag coming in, it's usually because I already put that into the record. So I don't have to do that in Ableton when I'm producing. I can just take the record, boom, drag and drop here. And then also sometimes I take the acapella out of Pro Tools and then I throw it back into production. And one day we'll do a record where I show you exactly what I'm doing. Like, I'll literally just show you this. But once again, if you go watch my regular streams, you'll see. This is just the mechanics behind it, why it matters, why it's important, blase, blase. So we'll go through the leads, the tele ad-libs, and then the dubs. Because they're all the same they're all the same with the hook, with the main, and then main 1, main 2, which are verse 1, verse 2, hook at the top. Always keep the hook at the top. Sometimes I do it first, sometimes I don't. If you need to, guys, gals, listen, you can rearrange it. It's really no biggie. You can do what you want to do. This is your world. All I am doing is giving you the space and the atmosphere to be able to do it properly, right? And if you need to build it on the shoulders of what I've already done, please go ahead. That's why I'm creating the templates. That's why I'm doing the Patreon. That way I can show you all step by step. And the more questions y'all ask, I think the better the videos can and will get, because I'll be able to answer those questions for you directly. That way I'm not just shooting at the dark, shooting at the board going, well, they might want to know about EQ. Sorry, could you say that? They might want to know about EQ. It'll be more so, this is what we're talking about. This is why we're talking about this. And we'll dive deep. My later videos, we'll discuss EQ. We'll do compression, EQ and compression, and then we'll do reverb, and then I'll figure out some other effects, reverb and delays. I think that's good for most people to know, because we don't talk about that enough. That way you can understand the Holy Trinity and why it works the way it works and why it has to. So, main vocal, my mic track is literally whatever my main vocal would be, literally. I set the compression on it, very light compression. I do a higher attack. A higher attack gives me more of the vocal. It gives me a smoother vocal. The lower the attack, it gives you a choppier vocal, because it is attacking as soon as that vocal comes through. This allows more of the vocal to come through before the compressor starts to attack. Minimal, nothing too heavy. This looks like it's heavy compression, but I promise you that it's not. And then I'll also go through serial compression and why that works. So these are my settings for my compression. Once again, EQ very minimal. Subtractive EQ is always first. The subtractive EQ is first. Because I want to take out the frequencies in which I don't need, or the frequencies that are being harsh or giving me an issue. Depending on the microphone, depends on how you will need to do this. And how do I find the frequency? I'll cut, I'll come up. Let's see if I can do it here. This probably isn't going to let me because, let's see. Okay, this isn't going to let me do it. So this is how I do my my sweeps. I come all the way up. I notch it, notch EQ, boom, notch. I come all the way up. And then I literally sweep and I find where that frequency is, wherever that frequency is, and then I just boom. I just bring it down a few dB. I bring it down a few dB. 3 dB, just good. Some people will say the rule is don't push it past 5. It's about how it feels, guys. Literally, that's what this is about, how it feels. And so that's pretty much my chain. And EQ, I have 2 EQs. One subtractive first. The second one is additive, where I take out just that muddiness that sits around 250. I don't like the muddiness in my vocal. It's able to take out some of that hollow mud that I don't need. That way I can boost up the mids, the high mid frequency, and then my highs. So I can give it that shine, that shimmer. If you notice, I'm at about 14 on the high right here. Shine, shimmer, 9. 8 to about 10, you're going to get presence in the vocal. Right here, the yellow, the mid frequency, that's all body that you're getting. And then you have the low mids. The low mids is when you hear me speaking, it's not the high, it's the low. It's the low mids. It's right underneath the body. And if you listen to even how my voice sounds here, you'll be able to hear my low mids. So it kind of, you can push the raspiness, or you can pull it out, right? So it just depends on how you want to be able to do it. I like a little bit of rasp. I like a little bit of the back of the vocal coming up a bit. And that's what that low mid frequency is. Then you have the low frequency. I always notch mine after 150. I don't need anything under 150. Nothing. There's nothing under 150 that you can use in your vocal, I promise you. Or one, depending on the person. 1 to 150. You know, that's the area in which you want to go ahead and just take everything out of there. So for me, that's one of the things that I use. And once again, and that's how I get busy. And I cut these vocals every time. I cut these vocals. I pull them down, and that's pretty much what we're doing. And actually, this is the same chain that I have on my main. So let's open her up. So yeah, so even here, as you can see,
I am no sorry, Janari. I am so sorry to tell you. They be like, nigga, you look. I reply highly familiar. You see the smile on my face. That's memorabilia. Might be surviving the bite, but nigga, the pressure'll kill you. Did like 50 off music and two.
If you notice, you don't hear any bleed in the headphones, and I am pushing these compressors. You hear no bleed in the headphones, and when I tell you my headphones be all the way up, there is no bleed. Because in the event that I want to do anything with these vocals, I can. I can send them to a mix engineer. I always bounce my stems either wet or dry. I'll give you guys the hack for that on how to bounce the vocals wet and dry. And actually, just to bounce the stems dry is fairly simple. But the goal is to get great recordings, great takes. That's literally it. I'm not doing anything too crazy. Once again, EQ, subtractive, After you subtract, that's when you add. You don't add anything, you just enhance what is already there. That is what this is. This is an enhancing EQ. And then compression. Once again, compression is nothing crazy from, so how you're hearing it is literally how I'm recording it. And we'll talk about latency issues, things like that, processing power. So how you're hearing it is very similar to how I am recording. I record to tape. I don't want to hear what my vocal sounds like with no effects on it. Doesn't make sense. It's 2025, people. Build the template, have it to where you like it. It's going to take you a few records to kind of dial that in. And then once you dial that in, you literally do a save as, your new template, erase the vocals because you already have the save at, you already have the original file, save as, template, erase those vocals, make this your new template. Literally, it's not that complicated, folks. It is not that complicated. What it allows you to do is be able to have your own template that is already dialed in by a sound that you sonically like. So that's all we're doing, folks. So yeah, so
No sorry, Janari, I am so sorry to tell you. They be like, nigga, you look. I reply highly familiar. You see the smile on my face. That's memorabilia. Might be surviving the bite, but nigga, the pressure'll kill you.
So, all right, let's go here. I also have delay on there, just a little bit. Reverb, just a little bit. Another reverb, just a little bit. Short verb, a little bit. That short verb can get very tricky. It can get very out of hand very quickly. And so I try to keep that to a minimum. Once again, it's just, we're just here to provide, we're just here to give it a space. I give my vocals its own space. Sometimes I'll push that short verb all the way up just to create a bigger vocal. Sometimes I'll bring it all the way down. I just want to get a little lift out of the vocal. That's pretty much it. It's all situational, case by case. But for the most part, I have a quarter note delay on my verb. Nothing crazy. And then on my ad-libs, the only difference is it's the same three inserts that we have here. Same EQ and compressor. Only difference is on my tele ad-lib, I have my telephone effect. That is the only thing that we're doing differently. Telephone effect.
Come on. I am no sorry, Janari. I am so sorry. They be like, nigga, you look. I reply, hi. Come on. Smile on my face. That's memorable. Let's go. Vibe in the bite, but nigga, the ha.
You hear that?
For real.
Nice and tight.
For real. Huh.
Nice and tight vocals.
Blow it pause. 2025, I'ma show it in every song. You know I'm the boy from the hood. I made it out of the storm. Used to hoop with A-trays and bagged and knee alone. Trust me, I don't need pride.
So that's pretty much the only difference. So I use that for my ad-libs. I put the telephone effect on there. If I don't want it, I just turn it off and then I run it.
Hitting them bumps. 2015 with like 20, I'm about to blow it pause. 2025, I'ma show it in every song. You know I'm the boy.
So, like I said, if you want to use it, you can. If you don't, you don't have to. Same thing with the dubs. With my dubs, I'll put the R comp on there just to really tighten them up. I usually don't want these heard. I just want these felt. So that's why they're in there, but you may not hear them, but you can feel them.
Down 83rd and Fig, speeding and hitting them bumps. 2015 with like down 83rd and Fig, speeding and hitting them bumps. 2015 with like 20, I'm about to blow it pause. 2025, I'ma show it in every song. I'm the boy from the hood. I made it out of the storm. Used to hoop with A-trays and bagged and knee along. Trust me, I don't need props. This took me around the world. You ain't left your block. LB shirts and bags, nigga, this don't cost a lot.
So once again, these are to be felt, not necessarily heard, depending on the record. I wanted these felt, not necessarily heard, just to give that body to that overall vocal. And I achieved that by using serial compression. Serial compression is okay. It's parallel compression and then serial compression. Parallel compression is Let's say, for instance, I want this to go. Okay, I'll show you the difference between serial compression and parallel compression.
Down 80, 30, fig, speed and hitting in bumps. 2015 with like 20, I'm about to blow it pause. 2025, I'ma show it in every song. You know I'm the boy from the hood, I made it out of the storm. Used to hoop with A-trays and bagged and knee along. Trust me, I don't need props. This took me around the world, you ain't left your block. LB shirts and bags, nigga, this don't cost a lot. If I was grown in the 80s, I'd be selling rock. Pointed at the block, let it bang, cause I serve it hot. Fuck with me.
Let me see. Here's my lead verb. I don't know why it's giving me lead L, lead right. That's interesting. Oh, there we go. Okay, lead. And then with these are going to go to one, two. Yeah, these are all going to 1, 2. And then I believe these two right here were going to auto. All right. So how did I do that? Shift Option allows you to do the highlighted section. Shift Option, highlight, and then you can take it to wherever you want to, auto, and it only changes it for those. Right? Shift Option. Take that here. You can put that back onto the lead. Boom. Let's see, no input here. All right, so
Down 80, 30, fig, speed and hitting in bumps. 20.
oh, and then change this back to 1, 2.
Down 80, 30, fig, speed and hitting in bumps. 2015 with.
Okay, so that was a little mishap. I did that on accident. But yeah, that's pretty much how you get that vocal, and then that's how you get all your other vocals back to how it was supposed to be. And so all of my reverbs and everything are going to 1, 2 because this is just going where I need it to go. I'm sub bussing. I'm bussing these vocals, which means the bus is the input is coming from here, my lead or my mic track. I put it down here as a house. It's just housing the vocal. And then I'm bussing it to the lead vocal, boom. And so everything is running through the lead.
Down 80, 30, fig, speed and hitting in bumps. 2015 with like 20, I'm about to blow it pause.
Yeah, so that's pretty much how that's how I achieve that vocal. And once again, this is just a nice little way to just have the template grouped up. Yeah, I'm trying to see, am I missing anything else? Oh, I got a lot of heavy artillery in here. So, once again, this little arrow that you see right here, right? There's a little arrow. I don't know if y'all can see it. There's a little arrow to the bottom left of the screen. I might not be able to see it. It's all good. That arrow is so you can see all of the tracks that you have. Now, I have Pro Tools Studio, which allows me to have up to 128 voices or 128 tracks. And so If I needed to, if I had, let's say, Beyonce coming in and I needed to, I got about 16 background vocals I could use if I wanted to. And then I have another 16 background vocals if I wanted to. Absolutely. So, and then if I'm doing backgrounds, boom, all I'm doing is the same thing, drag and dropping it here, and I have this being routed to, and I think these are actually inactive. But if I needed to activate it, I can reroute them, change the outputs to wherever I want it to go. May want it to go to, I don't know, where would I want this to go? Let's say auto. Boom. Oh, well, they're inactive. So I would make them active, and then pretty much turn those to hide. I would turn those to active, send those to auto, and then I would have my background vocals for whoever I was doing, or whoever's vocal I was tracking. So, yeah, once again, this is just something that you have as a tool. If I needed to bounce all my stems out, I can bounce my stems. If you bounce them here, they'll be able to print. You literally take the outputs, the outs go to the ends of here, and then you just press record, and it literally prints the vocals with the effects on them. So, we have those as well. Let's see. So we got about, yeah, we got a decent amount. So we're gonna hide these, and go from there. Verb lead, I do not need that as well. That's not a part of my template. And so once again, then we have reference tracks. If and all of these come into play when you start to progress and elevate or do some. If you're doing a demo, I mean, there's just so many reasons as to why you would use that. I use it currently. I'll pull up a reference joint, go here, boom. Let me use my reference joint. Put these here. All right, let's see what's happening. If I don't need them, that's cool. Just hide them. Click those buttons to the side. Hide them. What else is in here that is needed? No, everything else is pretty much good. Verb lead. Verse 1 lead, verse 2 lead. Once again, these are things that just add versatility. Verse 1 may have a different vocal chain than verse 2, right? Me, this is a pretty standard. It's very transparent. What you put into it is what you get out of it. This is a template to where you have to work. You have to work. You have to make sure that your performances are great performances, because the template is going to tell you if it is or if it isn't. So that's pretty much the breakdown of the template, good people. Very simple, nothing too crazy. What I will be doing is, this video in particular will be one of the first videos that goes on the Patreon, because it's time to get that Patreon up cooking. Brand new. It's out now on AMC in Black. Please, 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 please. I am begging you, and y'all know the boy don't beg. I am begging y'all. Go check that project out with my brothers, Denzel, Maestro, my dog Chris Lofton. New season of Power Book coming out. Y'all check that out, man. Maestro EP'd it. Quincy, one of the directors, alongside with Denzel Whitaker. Man, very much so a family affair. We all came together, put our superpowers together. All they did was call me, and I popped up with the records. Honestly, I got a lot of music in there, 2 records on the soundtrack. And so I am excited to be a part of this project. And we will be in Ohio. What is that? September 14th or so, I believe. September 15th through the 21st, something like that. We'll be in Ohio at the Cincinnati Film Festival. And so, like I said, man, I'm excited to be a part of just the new shakers in music, in entertainment. Young, you know, we're young, we're doing our thing, and that's what this is. So like I said, set the template first, fucking press play, and then rock out. And so this is how I built up my template. That way you have some idea of what's going on and why I'm doing what I'm doing. We're going to keep these videos under an hour. I think it is important that we do that. That way we can get straight to the chase as to why things are the way they are and why it's important. And then we'll be able to add to it and go from there. But like I said, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. We're going to go ahead and play this thing out. Let's do it.
Grown in the 80s, I'd be selling rock. Want it at the block, let it bang, cause I serve it hot.